YouTube, it's a long time coming. I was late to the tier list game because I wasn't here to put out a bunch of content for cards that were going to be changed in me, who was an inexperienced player. But now that I consider myself the best of all time, once again, I've always considered myself that, I'm here to give you my Ironclad tier list. And I'm going to do one a week until I have all the characters. Now, this tier list, I realized after making it, really only has to do with taking these cards on this character, because there's a number of cards for every character that I'm not super excited to take on this character, but might be more excited to take on another one. Like Juggernaut, for instance. Spoiler alert, I don't think the Juggernaut is that good in this game for the Ironclad. But for the Silent character that has access to Afterimage and a copious amount of alternative block sources, yeah, that could be insane. You kind of understand what I'm saying. Okay, also it's kind of memey because I'm just a memey guy. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah. Chat! Today, we're going over the Ironclad cards and putting them in a tier list. What's my rubric? Me. Question, can we give subs for you to add pictures to the tier list that aren't Ironclad cards? I'll allow it. This is the official Ironclad tier list. Everything that I say here is perfect and poggers and amazing and awesome. The way that I go about this is just kind of vibes-based. Cards in this game, as the general disclaimer, are usually built around the idea that at some point every card is usable and every card is good. In Slay the Spire 1, there were only a few exceptions to those rules. Even things like Clash were like takeable and in some capacity. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. That if I put something in D tier, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't take it. Also, I'm getting rid of D tier and I'm just making it F tier. I think that's just way cooler. It's just all based on vibes and how excited I am to take things often and how much I think that they are a key part of you being able to win your run or not. All right, first up, Crimson Mantle. Lose 1 health at the start of your turn and gain a fuck ton of block. It's an S tier card. Do I need to explain it? This is this card is every single time that I see it, I want to take it. It is just one of those cards. That shit is fucking nuts. I can't believe people say it's shit. Who is people? Scoot is. All right, next up, Fight Me. Deal 5 damage twice, gain 2, I think it's 3 or 4 strength now. I think this card got buffed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it got slightly buffed. This card, to me, is the main reason why I think it's not that good is because there's cards like Inflame that exist that give you more strength for less energy and less downside. There's cards like Dominate that give you more strength for less energy that have less downside. So something like Fight Me is interesting, but I find time and time again, it's just Twin Strike with an Inflame with a downside. Like, I feel like it almost could have been a card that instead of giving the enemy strength, get exhausts. But I think that it's more interesting having a downside that gives the enemy strength. The main reason I do like it sometimes is the fact that it's really good in multi-enemy fights, because if you use Fight Me and then you kill the guy that you gave the strength to, it's kind of no downside to it. But to me, it's kind of like a B or a C tier. Like, I take it not super infrequently, but I feel like I'm never taking it later on in the game when I've already established what my deck is wanting to do. You know? Like, it's either I take it rather early or I don't really take it at all. I'm never in the mid game taking it and wanting to use it. I'm interested to hear what chat has to say about Feed in this game. Feed is exactly the same as it was in Slay the Spire 1. The game is just different when it comes to availability of using it. The game is a lot. So the game in Slay the Spire 1 had a lot more availability of setup for one. You had a lot more availability to retain cards in your hand. You had Exhume. You had dual wield in order to get multiple copies. There was a lot more ways to get Feed off, and I feel like it was a lot easier to stall out fights. Whereas nowadays, Feed does not have much of a chance to be able to be forced nearly as much. I still think it's fucking broken, but I think it's just A tier just simply because of, one, how much better a lot of the other rare cards can be to just ending your run for you. We're going to go through it, but like, if I see Crimson Mantle next to Feed in a rare card reward, I'm like, in Slay the Spire 1, it was like, dude, Feed is really fucking good. You should really consider Feed over a lot of other picks. But to me, it's just... The only really way to get multiple of this too is with juggling, which is like a really convoluted way of getting that to work, because then you can't just like get an enemy down to 1 HP and then wait until you draw the feed and then just feed and then exhume and then press another feed. You instead then have to have them be like specifically 3 attacks away from lethal. It's really weird like that. Like or you get like the specific Vaku relic that gives you the ethereal on the first attack that you play, but then again, you have to have them both then set up to die at the same time so that you can then feed, get an exhaust or a one that's going to exhaust at the end of your turn and then feed again. It's weird. Yeah, you can get dual wield from the junk event. Yeah. But yeah. All right, next up, Forgotten Ritual. If you have exhausted a card this turn, gain 3 energy. Now, it does notably exhaust as well. I think that this card is really fucking good in decks that do a lot of exhausting. Because when you start getting a deck that does a lot of exhausting and you're cycling 1,000 cards, I actually think, even though it did get nerfed so that it cannot be played multiple times in a turn, I actually think that it's kind of better in that, like, exhaust minefield, because it kind of wants to be taken in an exhaust-heavy deck, and then it helps synergize with the rest of the exhaust stuff. So it just kind of is really good. Like, if I have, like, a Feel No Pain or a Dark Embrace, it just kind of works. Like, it just kind of works alongside of everything else. So I think it works really well in that. Can you zoom in a little? All right, so... we're going to be adding Forgotten Ritual now, I think, to probably the B tier. Again, if it's not an exhausting deck, I'm probably keeping it away, and I don't take it nearly as much. But I think when it's useful, it's extremely, extremely, extremely useful. Next up, Ashen Strike. Deals 6 damage plus 3 or 4 damage for each card exhausted. Each card in your exhaust pile. That shit is nasty. This shit is easily... Like, probably, it's ahead of the goose. I'm gonna put it on the other side of the goose. It's just, holy fuck. This shit is nasty. It's pretty reliable. Yeah, I mean, like, the fact that it just scales really, 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 really hard. Now, obviously, if you are not doing an exhaust deck, yeah, you should not take it. But most of the time in your deck, you've got a few things that are exhausting. Still doesn't mean that it needs to be a damage source for you. But this is one of those cards that is your damage if you are exhausting. Like, this is the be-all, end-all of what you are wanting to use. I would not be surprised, and I'm going to say this really quietly, so the STS decks don't get any idea. I wouldn't be surprised if they made this card exhaust as well. Next up is Rampage. Rampage is actually nerfed from Slay the... Wait. No, because Rampage was Rampage 4 and 8 in Slay the Spire 1, and now it's 5 and 10. I thought it was 6 and 8 in Slay the Spire 1. Yeah, it was buffed. Yeah, it's still F tier. that shit is still fucking ass. It's still fucking dookie, man. It's still fucking dookie. It's so dookie. Oh, but it's so good with Headbutt. All right. Tell me how it synergizes with anything else that the Ironclad does. Go ahead. I'm waiting. Next up, Iron Wave. Iron Wave is like the most below average card. Yeah, I would put Iron Wave in C tier. Like, I don't mind adding one early, but like, I'm not going to put it at F. It's not a completely fucking useless card. Who the hell is the random guy at the bottom? That's Scootish. Next up is Feel No Pain. Exactly like it was from Slay the Spire 1. It's still the GOAT, man. Feel No Pain, still kind of the GOAT. I would say that Exhaust was a lot easier to be like the main focus of your deck in Slay the Spire 1, but it's still really fucking good. And it still feels like if I see a Feel No Pain on floor 1, I can probably take a Feel No Pain on floor 1 and then make a Feel No Pain work. Why are we calling Doug Scootish? Excuse me. You're going to tell me that AI lies? All right, next up, Barricade. Barricade is also exactly the same as in Slay the Spire 1, but this shit kind of ass now. I don't think the Barricade is that good in this game. I think I've taken it, like, twice. And I have, let me just clarify. 365 hours in Slay the Spire 2, and I think I've taken it twice. Like, it does not show up at a time that I need it. And I think that there are some cards that work with it. Notably, Crimson Mantle, Feel No Pain, Unmovable, which we'll get to later. But I feel like when I'm doing those things, I never am in a position that I'm like, yeah, I really need a Barricade and then like a Body Slam. But I do hope that Barricade doesn't get changed, and then maybe with the addition of something like Act 4, Barricade will get better. Because I think that's how it was in Slay the Spire 1. You didn't really take Barricade a lot to beat Act 3. You take Barricade to beat the heart. You know? Like, you played a lot different once there was an 800 HP enemy that could only take 200 damage per turn, and they would make you take 2 damage every single time you would play a card. So I think that Barricade will probably go back up the list whenever there is a more threatening endgame that can't just be beaten out by me dealing more damage. All right, next up, Bloodletting. It's S tier. This is, dude, here's the thing, man. I was a Bloodletting fan in Slay the Spire 1, and I feel like this card didn't get its fucking chops in Slay the Spire 1. And then they went and made this card way fucking better. Then they went and made this card common instead of uncommon, and then they made the synergies for dealing damage to yourself like 1,000 times better in this game. So it's nuts. Kind of pisses me off. I was a homie of Bloodletting from the start, man. Bloodletting is uncommon in Slay the Spire 1? Yeah. Yeah, in Slay the Spire 1, this is an uncommon card. So this card is like a pigeon? Yeah, I'll put them next to each other. All right, next up, the Mangle Angle. I just need a show of hands here. How often do you think it's a Mangle Angle, and then you take it, and it's kind of lackluster? Like, it doesn't really do much. Like, it's really good in a deck that you can, like, cheat it out. You know, you have Mummified Hand, you make it cost 0. You have an Enlightenment, you make it cost 1. You have Unrelenting, you make it cost 0. You have Corruption, so everything else costs 0, so this cost doesn't matter. But then, you know, Corruption makes it so that you don't really need block. Stampede plays for it, but then it, you know, multi-enemy fights, doesn't hit the right guy, you're sad. It just feels like it needs so much to go into it. And I feel that rare cards should be kind of like a card that can sometimes stand on its own. So I think it goes in C tier. Like, it's again, I don't think it's completely fucking useless. I think it's a lot better in multiplayer. I think this is one of those cards that's just really good in multiplayer, because you can kind of just be like, hey, I have Mangle in case, like, you know, everybody else wants to, like, focus on a different thing this turn and not have to, like, worry about nearly as much block. But when you're the person that has to worry about the blocking and worry about the damage and worry about everything else, spending most of my energy on just Mangle, just, yeah, it's kind of like an attack potion card for sure, but, no. All right, next up, a contentious card on this list, Hellraiser. Whenever you draw a card that contains the word strike, it automatically plays. B for bait. There's only one place that you take Hellraiser, right? I'm not taking Hellraiser because my deck is 50% draw cards, 50% perfected strikes. You know? I'm taking Hellraiser because I've taken 3 pommel strikes already, and now I have an envisionment of being able to take my hands off my keyboard and the game wins for me. And I think that a rare card having that little usability, it puts it right next to Barricade. Barricade is really only useful to get off a big body slam. Hellraiser is really only useful to get off 1,000 pommel strike. And half the time, like, the fact that, too, it's like, if I draw 5 cards and 3 of them say strike, it plays 3 strikes, and then I'm like, okay, now I have 2 cards that I can play. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that, man? Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm just sitting here with my fucking hand on my cock. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Next up, Hemokinesis. Pretty much the same as it was in Slay the Spire 1. I think it's a good attack card. I think this is like an A tier card. It's not an S tier, but it's good because you can take it early. It works really well with early vulnerable that you get with Bash to kill early enemies. The self-damaging cards and synergies in this game is a lot better than it was in Slay the Spire 1, although healing is less available in terms of Ironclad's kit. But yeah, that shit is really good. Next up, Pack's End. Deals 17 damage to all enemies if you have three or more cards in your exhaust pile. This card used to read exactly like it does now, where it says can only be played if you have 3 more cards in your exhaust pile. And I said,
Slay the Spire devs, I don't like it that I can't play this card for 0 and have it do nothing.
And they changed the card. And now you can play the card for 0, and it does fucking nothing. Which I fought for. You're welcome, chat. You're welcome. The reason why I wanted it to be usable is for things like Shuriken, Kunai, Ornamental Fan, just things like that. I think that there should be times where you can use a card. I thought the same should be available for Clash and Slay the Spire 1. And I'm pretty sure that's how Clash worked in Slay the Spire 1, right? Where you could play Clash, but if there was nothing to use it on, or wait, no, you couldn't play Clash in Slay the Spire 1. But I think you should be able to. It was either you could play it or you couldn't play it, and I thought you should be able to. I always thought that you should be able to play Clash, but if you couldn't play Clash? Okay. I always thought you should be able to play Clash, and it's just if you had non-attacks in your hand, that it should just do nothing, but it should have worked and scaled and existed. That was just always my opinion, and I'm glad that in a rare card in Slay the Spire 2, we can get that. Now, it does take a decent amount of setup. You got to remember that on High Ascension, you do always have your Burning Pact, or your Ascender's Bane, sorry. You do always have your Ascender's Bane, so you always have one exhaust card already. So it's not hard to get a couple more exhaust cards. Now, I still think to this day that in order, like, we're going to get to Primal Force, but I think that one major thing about Primal Force is why the fuck does this not exhaust? I'm the exhaust guy, man. I'm the fucking exhaust guy. It should just say exhaust all non-rock attacks. That's what it should say. Because I understand that, like, you don't want to exhaust a rock into a rock. That would be fucking broken. But I do think that it should say exhaust all non-rock attacks and turn them into rocks. You know? I think that in the exhaust synergy guy, you want to give me the fucking thing that makes the rocks good. We'll get to that in a minute. I just think that it should be. I think this is like a B tier card. Because one, it's a rare card, so oftentimes I'm seeing it stacked up against other rare cards, and so you have to take that into account, that oftentimes I'm seeing it stacked up against a card that will have immediate use case for me. But I am very excited a lot of times to see it when I see it in like a random hallway or elite fight, and not in a rare card reward. Or not at a boss reward, obviously with like White Star or something, it's a different case, but it's just simply because it's stacked up against other rare cards, and other rare cards just are a lot more takeable for me. All right, next up, Dismantle. Deal 8 damage. If the enemy is vulnerable, it hits twice. I think this card is S tier. I think this card is fucking S tier, man. I think this card is so fucking good as just like a basic ass attack. As for like, there's like a class of cards in Slay the Spire called Strike Pluses. There's a class of cards in Slay the Spire called Strike Pluses, where the card in and of itself is just a strike that does a little bit more. And as for Strike Pluses, I think Dismantle is like cream of the crop. In Slay the Spire 1, this wouldn't be the case. There's not nearly as much guaranteed vulnerable, but this character now, Ironclad in Slay the Spire 2, obviously has a lot more desire to consistently have a blanket amount of vulnerable on an enemy. Like, they have cards that just apply a significant more amount of vulnerable. They have a lot more synergies with adding a lot of vulnerable. So this card is just really good with that. Also, for the fact that the vulnerable package does also come with Dominate, which we'll get to in a bit, that gives strength for every vulnerable. And so then the card that then works with vulnerable and is just like a better version of Twin Strike because it's just more numbers on a fucking Twin Strike. It just, you know, like it's just, yeah. That's why I think it's S tier. I don't think that it's like gonna easily win you the run or anything. I just think that it is really good at what it does. Its numbers are really good for what it does. And I like putting a dismantle in my deck. All right, Thrash. This is going to be a contested one. Thrash, deal 4 damage twice. Exhaust a random attack in your hand and gain its attack and add its damage to this card. This is definitely going to be a contentious one. This is, to me, this card is just what Rampage wants to be. This is what Rampage wants to be, is Thrash. It wants to be this card that next time you see it, all of a sudden it's giga good. But I think it's B tier. I don't think it's bad. I don't think that this card is bad. I think that I'm not taking it often. Maybe C tier. I could see you justify it as C tier. I could see the fight between B and C tier here. But like, this is a boss killer. This is a boss killing card. And I think that if you're gonna say that Mummified Hand is an S tier relic, which I am gonna imagine that a lot of you are gonna agree that Mummified Hand is an S tier relic. And one of the reasons why Mummified Hand is an S tier relic is because as you get better at using Mummified Hand, you get really good at forcing what you want with Mummified Hand to be the 0-cost card, the card that gets hit by Mummified Hand, right? And I think Thrash is like a very similar spot where the better you get with Thrash, the more you're going to be able to force Thrash to hit the attack that you want it to hit to make it better. And it's not going to be the card that wins you a hallway fight. This card is like almost fucking useless in a hallway fight, but it wins you a boss fight. And it thrives in a boss fight. So that's why I think I put it in B tier. I think it thrives in a boss fight. Even just exhausting strikes over and over again. Like, even if it just exhausts a strike, and then the next time I draw it, it exhausts a strike, you know, I think it still can thrive, and you can have it be a better Rampage in the fact that it can scale harder than Rampage, but also for the fact that it then has exhaust synergies with it. Defend. This next card is a card that has gotten changed. I believe. Howl from Beyond. Deal 16 damage to all enemies. And then at the start of your turn, plays from your exhaust pile. It is now at the end of your turn, which is way fucking better. Insurmountably better. Howl used to be so fucking poop, but now is actually my fucking goat. Because Howl has 2 purposes, right? The Ironclad has 2 different packages that is like the main way that it wants to get off Howl from Beyond. 1, exhaustion. You can exhaust it, and it can be exhaust permanently, which is really good. The one major thing that the Ironclad can run out of is cards to exhaust, and then you end up having to exhaust your good cards. Having Howl from Beyond be permanent exhaust fodder is really, really good in some scenarios where your deck wants to remain small, and then you still want to be able to get off cards like True Grit Plus and be able to target a card and it always be Howl from Beyond, etc., etc. The second one, though, is Unrelenting Synergies, right? Unrelenting is a major... Why are these cards... I think not in alphabetical... This is pissing me off all of a sudden. Did I just notice this? Oh my god. We're not in alphabetical order. There it is. Unrelenting makes your next attack that you play cost 0. And it's a really good way to then be able to get off your big attacks in your hand, like Cinder, or like Bludgeon, or Tear Asunder, or Mangle, etc., etc. And it's another reason, or another way that you can then get off Howl from Beyond. I've taken Howl from Beyond and it had no exhaust synergy, but I just needed an AoE attack, and I didn't run into Stomp or Breakthrough, and I ran into Howl first, and then I was just using Unrelenting to play Howl, and it was never needing to be played for my exhaust pile. Yeah, you can also play Howl from Beyond with Stampede. That is true. Howl from Beyond, man. I think this card is actually like a B tier. Probably not an A tier attack, but I think it's B tier because you definitely need a synergistic piece with it first, and then it's really good. But there's a billion different synergistic pieces, like Chad has pointed out. There's so many different synergistic pieces. I've even had like a juggling deck that has worked really well with it, because when this played at the beginning of your turn, you could never juggle it unless you wanted to play it. But like you couldn't ever juggle it from your exhaust pile. But now that it plays at the end of your turn, you can juggle it. So it can be if you play 2 attacks and then exhaust Howl, you can then duplicate your Howl, and then it won't play it twice, but it'll then have 2 in your draw pile, so you can have more exhaust fodder. which is like really, really cool. Stampede, yeah, I'm gonna be on Stampede, I think, for a minute. And I don't think that I'm gonna be able to accurately play Stampede. Because I'm always nervous to use it. And I think it's better than I think it is. But then shouldn't I think that it's better if it's better than I think it is? It is upgrade fodder. I think that doesn't mean that a card is bad just because it isn't necessitating of an upgrade. I think Dark Embrace is also very good, but it also necessitates an upgrade a lot of the time. But I think it's like really good. I think it's really good once it's in play. And there's a lot of cards. Okay, sorry. It does something the turn that it's played. And that's what I think is very underrated about it. Is there's a lot of powers that, like, you know, you look at like Inferno. You would say that Inferno is like a really good card, right? It does nothing when it's played. You say that Juggernaut might be a pretty good card. Does nothing when it's played. Dark Embrace, Demon Form, Barricade. These cards do nothing when they're played. Stampede almost always is going to do something when it's played as long as you have an attack in your hand. You are not required to play that attack. It will play it for you, you know? So, like, I like the fact that Stampede is just, like, able to do something. Stampede also follows the same mummified hand logic. Right, exactly. The thing is I feel like so often, you don't want to take Stampede first, right? If I'm just Stampeding out strikes, that feels weird. That feels meh. So I don't want to take Stampede first. So then I end up taking like a Bludgeon. And then I'm like, okay, I'll take a Stampede. But then if I see an Unrelenting, then I'm like, okay, maybe I don't need the Stampede because now I have the Unrelenting. So then I end up not taking the Stampede, and then later on, I'm like, maybe I need a Stampede, but then that time, my deck is like cycling better, and my deck is able to do the thing more efficiently that it doesn't need Stampede. So I think I'm gonna leave it in B tier, but I think it's up. I think it has the possibility of moving up and moving down. Like, I think I just have not evaluated this card enough, and so take anything that I say about this card with a grain of salt. I think this is another reason why I haven't done a tier list before. I know a lot of other creators have been ripping tier lists and Nooch. I haven't been doing the tier list because I feel like I needed a lot of hours in the game. And I'm definitely not somebody that like grinds a heavy amount of hours as quickly as possible. I'm a big yapper. I'm a big chiller. So I feel like I needed more overall time. All right, shrug it off. That's an A tier card. It's just good. We be shrugging shit. All right, next up, Body Slam. Deal damage equal to your block. Thoughts, chat? My main problem with it is that it's upgrade that, but it's not that good of a card after it's upgraded. So I'm putting it in F tier. All right, next up, chat. Perfected Strike. A card that was a noob trap in Slay the Spire 1. Would you guys agree that this was like the ultimate noob trap in Slay the Spire 1? Yes or no? In this game, I don't think so much, man. I don't think it's as much of noob bait. I think it's definitely B tier, maybe A tier, but I'd put it like the top of B tier. Like, I think it's on the cusp. But I think it's, yeah, I think there's like a lot of places that it can be really good. I think the character has a lot more availability of like cycling options and things like that. So yeah, I'm not that big of a hater. I'm really not that big of a hater. All right, next up, Stone Armor. Remember when plating was a kind of like reworked in this game, and it was no longer metallicized. People were a little bit contentious about it, man. People didn't like the fact that it was a wearing off buff. People didn't like that. People were not that big of a fan of the fact that you get block and then it wears off slowly but surely over time. But just the fact that it's so much more than metallicize. Like, metallicize was like, it was less than a defend, right? It was always less than a defend. In Stone Armor, the fact that when it's upgraded, obviously, it can be more than a defend, and then every turn after that, it's just like continues to just chill. And I also think that like blocking in this game feels different, where it feels like blocking is like more consistently needed over every turn instead of a lot of enemies having like one big grand slam turn. Whereas in Slay the Spire 1, it felt like more enemies would have the slams, you know? So I'd put this at like the bottom of A tier. I think that Stone Armor is actually quite good. And I think if there's a card that I need to start taking more, I think it's Stone Armor. I see this less in my own decks and more in a lot of other creators' decks. Yeah, multiple Stone Armors, it just gets better and better and better. It gets better and better and better. All right, next up, offering its S tier. Any questions? This card is like the staple card for the Ironclad and Slay the Spire 1, and it's the staple card for Ironclad and Slay the Spire 2. It's so good. Next up, Inferno. Used to be Combust. Combust in Slay the Spire 1 was just, at the start of your turn, lose 1 HP, deal damage. Now, it is lose 1 HP at the start of your turn, but whenever you lose HP during your turn, you deal 6 damage to all enemies. This, by its wording, would destroy Old Heart. Because Beat of Death from the Heart is losing HP on my turn. This would be the most broken card against Slay the Spire 1 Heart ever to exist. It would be insane. And it works exactly like that. If you take damage from burns, you take damage from thorns, it will proc. It will deal damage. This is a high S tier card, maybe just right below the blow high. It is very, very strong. The synergies that this card has with so many other things. I mean, look at where the other cards that deal damage to you so far are in. S tier, A tier. Like, all right, next up, Primal Force. We talked about this card a little bit. I think that it should say exhaust all non-rock cards in your hand and change them into rocks. I think that this card should be better. As it is now, I think it's like C tier, almost F tier. I don't think that it's like dog shit. I think it's like okay in the early acts to like really ramp up your damage. For 0 mana, it triples the damage of every strike in your hand. I think that's good. I do. But like the fact that this card doesn't exhaust, the fact that there's no reason for me to have a lot of rocks in my deck, like there's nothing good about having rocks. Like the fact that having more rocks doesn't make my deck better. The fact that it doesn't exhaust the cards and turn them into rocks. The fact that this card itself doesn't exhaust, so then I just end up just transforming rocks into rocks. I think that maybe rocks should exhaust. Yeah, maybe you're right on that. Maybe rocks should fucking exhaust. There's just something there. There's just something there that just isn't quite there. I agree with you. Maybe rocks should exhaust. Because I'm fucking throwing rocks, dog. I shouldn't be able to get those back. Yeah, something different needs to happen with rocks. Maybe like each rock needs to have a random buff on it. Like one says retain, and one says exhaust, and one says exhaust another card in your hand, and one says apply one vulnerable, and one says apply one weak, and one says ethereal. Like maybe they just need to like rocks just need to have an extra random ass fucking keyword on them. All right, next up, Breakthrough. I think it's an A tier card. I think it's fine. I take a Breakthrough all the time. Again, it's just a good AoE card. I'm not taking it frequently. Not taking it hyper frequently because I think it's like a card that I take in the early game because it's like the first bit of AoE that I have. But it's good. Like it's a solid AoE card. It's just a really good AoE card to have early because 1, it's a card that you want to take early. 2, earlier in the game, the less you have availability to energy and things of the like. So the easier it is to be able to play this in your round table of cards, right? Like I need to deal some AoE damage, but I also need to do some other things that turn. I think it's just good. Next up, Cinder. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. This card is buffed, right? It does more damage now. Am I crazy? Yeah, it does 18 now. Holy shit, +1 damage. Wait, F tier doo-doo. Timid. Back that case up. Why do you think this card is F tier doo-doo? Wait, no. Type some shit right now. 2 mana for average damage. So that makes it F tier to be average. You hear that, chat? It's F tier to be average. I think this card's an A tier. I've taken this card so much recently, and every time it kind of cooks a little bit. Every time I take this card, it kind of cooks a little bit. Maybe it could be B tier. I might just be rage baiting you and wanting to put it up 1 tier because everybody was saying it's like fucking poop from a butt, and so now I'm feeling bad for it, and I don't want to get its feelings hurt. But like straight up, man, straight up, I'm gonna give you homework. Take it a few more times. Take it a few more times in your next couple of runs. Not when you think it's necessarily a bad pick, but take it a few times in your next 10 Ironclad runs. Fiki Orca backshots. Think of the 5 gifted subs. I don't think random exhausting in this game is as bad as it was in Slay the Spire 1. And I think it's such a good early card. Yeah, I'm not taking it. I'm probably not taking it in Act 3 I'm pretty much never going to take it in Act 2. But as an Act 1 heavy hitter, it's just pretty good, man. I just think it's pretty fucking good. I probably would put it in B tier if y'all weren't just saying so much shit. But you guys said so much shit that now I feel bad for it. It's a good, just big slapper, man. This guy and his hammers, and Impervious being an S tier. All right, next up, Bully. Chat, where do you think Bully is? I think when this game came out, people really wanted to make Bully work. And I don't think that Bully is necessarily bad. I think that you take a Bully before you found a Dominate. Like, you take a Bully because you haven't found Dominate that makes all of your other cards better. But I don't think that it's necessarily bad. And I don't think that it's necessarily super good. I think it's like B tier. Like, I think you can take it, but it doesn't necessarily make or break your deck. But it's also free to play. But you always have to remember in this game that things still cost a draw slot. So a lot of people will just be like, yeah, but it's free to play. It's not. It still costs you draw. But it's not as nuanced as that. It's good early and that's about it. No, I think it could be a late game thing. The main problem late game is that a lot of so each of the Act 3 bosses kind of counters the idea behind Bully, because there's the test subject that has multiple phases, so it's hard to like reset up all of the vulnerable and make Bully do a lot of damage. Aeon Glass has artifact, so it's hard to set up all the vulnerable to make Bully do a lot of damage. And then there's the Queen, which is a multi-enemy fight, so it's hard to, you have to set it up on one person and then reset it up on the next person, right? So it's like Bully in the late game does go down for that reason, but I think it can be really good in a lot of key fights, especially Act 2 bosses is like really where it peaks. Next up, we have Juggernaut. Juggernaut is exactly the same as in Slay the Spire 1, but obviously the game that has been built around it is far different. The main thing, like a lot of other rare cards, is it's stacked up against other rare cards. It got buffed. Does it deal more damage when it's upgraded? Oh, it got buffed. It's 6 and 8 now. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at this. Got buffed. Yeah, either way, yeah, in this game, you're not spamming block nearly as much. Like you're usually, or in this character, you're more often than not doing like one big block move for your turn, right? You're playing your Impervious, you're playing your Unbreakable, you're getting your Crimson Mantle off. You're doing like one big motion of block. You're playing your Evil Eye. You're doing your one-off thing. It's less often that you are playing Rage or getting a bunch of Feel No Pain stuff off. Still happens, and I think there's a lot of synergy to be had with Juggernaut. I think it's the main thing is that when you get into those fields, that other things just end up being your block source. So I put this in C tier. I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's just stacked up against other rare cards. So I'm not going to be taking it very often, but I don't think it's difficult enough. I don't think it's too difficult to put into play and then have work. If I find it early, it can become a damage source, but usually by the time I get to the point that I would want to take a Juggernaut, I already have all the other pieces of my deck happening,
Yeah, I do think Juggernaut is cool with the fact that it's easier to get cross-platform cards now, or cross-character cards now in the game.
All right, next up, Fiendfire. Now, Fiendfire is exactly the same as in Slay the Spire 1. Don't you fucking tell me that it got buffed again. Kind of upgrade that necessary. It's only 10 damage with vulnerable per card, then up to 15 damage per card with vulnerable. I think Fiendfire is still pretty good. I think that there isn't as much of a necessity for Fiendfire to be the exact card that you need. I think the Ironclad has a lot more tools to be able to get off all of their big damage move, but I think it's fine. I think it's A tier. I mean, the card itself in a vacuum is really, really strong. I just don't think I need it that much, Does that make sense? It was more like in Slay the Spire 1, my deck was doing a lot of exhausting. I need a way to deal a lot of damage. Now it's like, oh, my deck is doing a lot of exhausting. Let me take Ashen Strike. Or let me, stack up a little bit of vulnerable and play a Dominate, and then everything in my deck does really good stuff. Or there's a couple of cards that when I'm doing exhaust stuff, I can just take a Forgotten Ritual and then hit a Whirlwind, or I can hit a Stomp and then play Stomp 4 or 5 times and just cycle through it and, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. All right, Dominate's like the best card in the game. Dominate's like #1 card in the fucking game. It's crazy that this card got like, they tried to nerf it, and then it's still just like really fucking good. And like adding exhaust to a card for the Ironclad is not really nerfing a card. All right, next up, Demon Form. below the slide. Demon Form's so bad in this game, man. The game is so much faster. You want so much more value out of every card that you play versus in Slay the Spire. Honestly, on the Ironclad, I think some characters are okay with like stalling and doing like next turn stuff. I think the Necrobinder really likes to do like next turn is going to be my better turn. The Ironclad is not like that. The Ironclad is me, now, do the big thing. And this is, yeah, for 2 strength per turn, starting next turn at 2 strength is like, that's like barely better than a Dominate next turn. But like Dominate this turn can give me something now and also applies vulnerable to the enemy. That's just way fucking better, man. Ironclad is so me. He really is. Yeah, he's like a very selfish character, but I think that's the entire design, is that he's meant to be very selfish. How would you buff Demon Form? I think it should give me strength now. I think it should be gain 3 strength at the start of every turn. I do not think that that is too much to ask for a 3 cost card. I really don't think that in this game that it should not give me 3 strength right now. Demon Form should get the spinner treatment. I agree with that 100%, Maston. It should be gain 3 strength at the start of next turn, gain 3 strength, and then the upgraded version should be gain 3 strength now, and then at the start of your next turn. I agree with that 1,000,000,000%. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, 2 strength unupgraded is already like fucking poo. 3 strength is still like pretty poo. All right, Dark Embrace. Dark Embrace was originally in Slay the Spire 1, was a rare card, then was swapped with Corruption to be an uncommon card, and Corruption was put to be the rare card. Corruption was originally an uncommon card, and Dark Embrace was the rare card. Now in Slay the Spire 2, it got put back into its rare card position, and is exactly the same where it's exhaust the card, draw 1 card. Corruption was uncommon. If you think about it, Corruption being uncommon is like not... It's kind of like, honestly, Corruption having a rare tag was buffed. Corruption being rare was a buff versus uncommon in Slay the Spire 1. Because you didn't want to see it that often. Like, seeing like 3 corruptions throughout your run because it's uncommon, so it's available to show up, is like, stop. Like, stop taking up a fucking card slot. Like, I'd love to see anything else. But seeing like 2 or 3 Dark Embraces, you're like, okay, I get to take it when I'm ready. Every Ironclad deck wanted a Dark Embrace. Not everyone wanted a Corruption. Exactly. Yeah. I think Dark Embrace is like top of A tier, borderline S tier. I just feel like, again, I'm going to keep saying this. When it's put up against other rare cards, there are better rare cards. There are just better rare cards in the game that I'm taking more often. Like the next one. Well, this isn't a rare card anymore, but I feel like taking this and then needing to like upgrade it and to get it off and everything, it's just not as necessary. A lot of the times I feel like I can function off of what my deck can do without a Dark Embrace in this game. But again, I feel like this is also similar to Barricade, where Dark Embrace isn't as necessary until I get to the Heart. If the Heart existed, I think Dark Embrace would be S+ tier, because I would need so much more. But as the game is now, there's not as much of a requirement for me to cycle throughout my entire deck in a singular turn and utilize the full capacity of a Dark Embrace. Next up is Colossus. This card was, I believe, swapped with... It was swapped with, like, Drum of Battle. Maybe it was swapped with something else. But it was a Grapple, maybe? It was one of the cards. They were swapped, and then the card that was swapped to be a rare card was then changed into Not Yet. So, Colossus is now an uncommon card. In 5 block, and you receive 50% damage from incoming vulnerable. Or from anybody that is vulnerable. This character wants to put vulnerable on everybody all the time. This is a fucking OP card. Colossus is insane. Colossus is a must-take on a lot of things. Next up, Burning Pact. Also an S-tier card. We've officially bumped the tier list down 1. Yeah, Burning Pact is also fucking insane. Burning Pact is so fucking good. It is one of the main draw sources for the Ironclad. Every character has an uncommon good draw card. The Ironclad, or at least a couple of uncommon good draw cards, like Acrobatics or like Skim. Burning Pact having Exhaust Synergy is just, it's so fucking good. It's really, 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 really good. Yeah, and it does solve a lot of fights as well, that even if you don't have a lot of Exhaust stuff in Synergy in your deck, You can think of it as like a way to deal with enemies that give you status cards. All right, next up, Rage. Whenever you play an attack, gain 3 or 5 block, exactly the same from Slay the Spire 1. I think it's slightly better than in Slay the Spire 1. I still think it's not incredible in this game, but I think it's better than in Slay the Spire 1. And I think it's mainly because, one, the Ironclad has a lot more access to zero-cost cards through Bully, through Spite, Anger. But also, you have a lot of access to uncommon or to colorless cards. And if you get into like the Flash of Steel angles and things like that, there's a lot of ways to just constantly be like spamming out really cheap attacks and having the block be pretty applicable. You also have the Pack's End, like we were talking about earlier. So I would put this in like the bottom of B tier, almost C tier. But I think Rage is fine. It unfortunately kind of is upgrade debt, but I think it's okay. I think it's an okay card. All right, next up, Expect to Fight. This card has been slightly reworked as well. You still gained an energy for every attack in your hand, but then you can no longer gain energy for the rest of your turn. Very similar to Battle Trans, but it is with energy instead of with card draw. And again, it's just, why would you take this uncommon card to give you energy that is dependent on what is going on with your hand when you could take Bloodletting? Or you could take Forgotten Ritual. Or you could take the new Drum of Battle. This card fucking sucks. This card fucking sucks. I don't know if it's the worst thing in F tier, but like, this card I don't think is takeable to me. To me, it is not takeable. To me, it is just poop. What if you don't see Bloodletting? It just feels like I have to have draw with it. Like you have to have draw alongside it, and then it's just not enough energy. Rupture. Whenever you lose HP on your turn, gain 1 strength or gain 2 strength. This is where the self-damaging card synergies kind of falls off. It wasn't that good in Slay the Spire 1, and I still don't think that it's all that necessary in this game. Now, is it good? I think so. I think it's fine. But, like, why? I never want Rupture over Inferno. Like, barely. Like, if I saw these two cards next to themselves, and I had 1,000 ways to hurt myself, I'm like just wanting Inferno, right? Like I'm just always wanting Inferno. Like it's just better. So I think I put this in B tier. I don't know where in B tier. I haven't taken it enough to really evaluate how good the card is because Inferno's just way fucking better. Why not both? You need to play more hours of Slay the Spire. You don't take both. Very rarely do you take both. Because it just over complicates your deck. It floods your deck. And you really do have to worry about having things that flood your deck too much and makes you take unnecessary damage. Because if I'm drawing Inferno and Rupture on the same turn, I'm doing nothing to block with those two cards. I'm doing nothing to deal damage to enemies so that I don't take damage. I'm doing nothing to enemies that is stopping them from doing a bunch of fucking shit to me. So you have to be wary of taking too many things. Just because something synergizes with your deck doesn't mean that it's necessary to take. Like the amount of times that I have a synergy and somebody's like, you should take that card because it synergizes with what your deck's doing. And it's like, yeah, but I don't need to overcomplicate what my deck's doing. I don't need to take another piece of synergy to what my deck's doing. That would be like taking every dismantle you see because you have vulnerable. You shouldn't take every dismantle. Like we can easily agree on that, right? Like dismantle's an S tier strike plus card. It's the only reason that it's up here is because it's an S tier strike plus card. But I'm not taking it every single time I see it. I'm not taking it a lot of times I see it. It's just out of all the strike pluses, it's the best strike. The scaling gets crazy with Terra. Anyways, Spite. This card has been reworked. It used to say, if you've lost HP this turn, draw a card. Now it says, if you've lost HP this turn, hit multiple times. Curious again to see what chat thinks of this card. This card's kind of mediocre, not gonna lie. I don't disagree with you. I think it's like high C tier or low B tier. Like, it's fine. It's a fine card, but I'm never, like, late in the game and, like, damn, my deck that has synergy with hurting itself really needs a Spite in it. You know? And then if I take it early, I'm usually just like, damn, I would rather draw a different card other than Spite. All right, next up, Evil Eye. Chat, we're agreeing this is S tier, right? We're agreeing this is a busted-ass fucking... We're agreeing this is a fucking busted-ass fucking block card, right? This shit is nuts. Battle Trans, S tier, we're agreeing, right? This is a fucking... Trans people are just S tier. broken ass fucking builds, bro.
All right, next up, Armaments. Armaments in Slay the Spire 1 really felt like a card that I wanted to take a lot of the times. One in the chat if you feel like you don't need to take Armaments nearly as much. Armaments just does not feel all that necessary. Like, I really do not feel like I need to take it. This feels like a bottom of B tier card. The effect is still really powerful. I just don't feel like I need it. All right, next up, we have Not Yet. This is not grappling. You do not see what your eyes think that sees. Instead, you see a Not Yet card here. Because we had Colossus that got switched with Grapple in terms of rare. Not Yet's kind of butt. This shit's fucking ass. Grapple was also really fucking ass. But, yeah, this shit's fucking ass, man. This shit's kind of fucking poo. I want it to be good. I want a healing effect in this game to be really good. But it's just not necessary. Okay, I looked at another person's tier list this morning. But I looked at another, I think it was Jason's tier list this morning. And a lot of people have Cruelty really high in this list. Am I crazy that thinking the Cruelty isn't that OP? Like, it just doesn't feel that insane? Like, I think it's a good card. But putting it, like, in S tier feels weird. I think it's, like, bottom of A tier. Like, I think that it's so win-more-y that I just don't need it most of the time. And anytime that I've taken it, it feels like the effect of it just doesn't do a lot unless my card's already hitting really hard. Cruelty is like kind of dead draw for a lot of Act 2 hallway fights. I think that's it. I think that I've just never gotten Cruelty late into the game. I think I've always gotten Cruelty relatively early, and then it just feels like it doesn't have payoff. Like, making my strikes deal 10 damage instead of 9 just doesn't feel that good. You know what I'm saying? It's time for Pillage! I feel like I want this card to be good. But just every time I've taken it, it's just kind of fucking, like, why is a nothing burger? Okay, let's not use moist critical language. But yeah, it's just like every time I take it, it just feels like it doesn't do anything. Like, it just feels like I could just be doing something else. Yeah, it just feels really bad to me. And just to be an uncommon card and then have so much RNG around it of either drawing one card or a billion cards, it just feels like shit. All right, next up, Unmovable. Double the first block you gain each turn. That shit's nasty.
Yeah, but what do you think about juggling, though? Chat, what do you guys think about juggling? Let's get back on track.
Bolas. I think it's in B for Bolas tier. God, I do like Bolas. I do like Bolas quite a lot. I like Bolas so much. I do wish that the Ironclad had better synergy with juggling. It feels like this should not be an Ironclad card. It just feels like, yeah, it should be like a Shiv card or like a Claw card. Yeah, it feels like it should be a colorless card. So for that reason, I think I put it in C tier. Like, when it works, it's really fun. But that's the main word that I use with it, is fun. I don't think it's that good. It's just fun. But, like, the Ironclad likes to have big, heavy-hitting cards. Not a lot of tiny little cards that then feel fun to duplicate. All right, next up, Brand. That shit S tier. That shit's so good. That shit is so good, man. This shit is insanely good. I love me a Brand. I don't know, Brand is kind of underwhelming for me. It has everything. What do you mean? It does everything, bro. It does exhaust. It does hurt me. It does strength. That's like the Ironclad's entire thing. That's the Ironclad's fucking shtick, man. Possibly the most Ironclad card. Yeah, it only needed to, like, apply vulnerable to, like, a random enemy or something. All right, next up, Unrelenting, I think is like a high A tier card. I think this card is really good. It doesn't always work because, obviously, like, some fight or some decks, I'm not doing Unrelenting things, but if you find this card early, it just allows you to set up to just take a lot of big fucking bonks. You know? Like, it just allows you to set up to take the big hitters. The Perfected Strikes, the Bludgeons, the Mangle Angles, the Stompas, the Howl from Beyonds, it already works with your Bash. It works with your basic cards too. I can play it and then play a Pommel Strike for free. Like, it's just good. It's a good way to cheat out energy. Next up is True Grit. True Grit of this game is exactly the same as the last game, but doesn't have quite as good of card art. I'll say it. The art is just not quite as good. I want my cowboy belt back. I think it's just like a solid block card. Might even be B tier unupgraded, but A tier upgraded.
That's the main problem with it, is that it feels like it is upgrade debt. But I think it's less giga necessary that it be upgraded in this game than in previous games. But it's chilling. We're chilling. And there's a lot more enemies in the game, especially early on, that need you, or a good synergy is to exhaust their statuses. Like the fish at the end of Act 1 is a good example. Like immediately you have a very dangerous enemy that you immediately want to get rid of cards against. Aggression! I think that it's just bad to be aggressive, and that I think that we should all be nice to each other. I think that we should just spread love, not hate. I wish aggression wasn't RNG.
That right there. I don't know why you're giving me a rare card and it is putting a random attack on back in my hand.
I do not understand why. It would be so good if there was a way that I can control it. And I don't think it would be super broken for me to control it. As a rare card, it should be at the start of my hand, pick a card in my discard pile and put it into my hand and upgrade it. Like, that's what it should do. It should genuinely be, I choose the fucking card that I want. Maybe not even upgrade it. Just choose an attack in your discard pile and put it back in your hand. How about instead of upgrading an attack, it gives it replay 1? Oh, such a good idea. Yeah. Random attack gets put back into my hand, gets replay 1. Boom! Love that for me. That'd be awesome. Might be too broken, honestly. That might be too good. That might be too good. That might be way better, actually. That'd be actually insane-o mode. But it would go well with the entire theme of being aggressive. But it also is only attacks, so it wouldn't ever get put on like a broken power or like a really good skill. It would just be attacks. But I like the idea of it. I like where your head's at. I like where the head's at. Maybe it says put your lowest cost card and make it lowest cost attack and make it have replay. So if the only card in your discard pile is bludgeon, it brings back bludgeon. But if it's anger, it brings back anger. But if you have unrelenting that you just played, everything costs 0, so it could bring back anything. Unlike most of the F tiers, I don't think that taking aggression is a mistake. I think it is. I think I've never had a time where I've enjoyed having aggression. Again, it's literally just because of the RNG nature of it. Like in this game, okay. In Slay the Spire 2, you're not removing your strikes nearly as much. There's less events that are removing your strikes. There are less availability to remove at a shop because you're not getting as much stuff that's, 1, the removes are way more expensive. 2, you want to spend your money usually on cards at shops nowadays. Like you want to like add things to your deck instead of removing things to your deck. And so the fact that aggression can just consistently target a fucking strike plus is just like, it's so poo. It's just such nothing, man. That's such nothing. All right, next up, Whirlwind. How are we feeling about Whirlwind in this game?
Billy, we got a lot of A tiers.
I think I put it like literally right with Conflagration for like the exact same reason. Like it just feels like it needs stuff to do with it.
Versus the other rare cards, or the other AoE cards are like better alone. But the fact that Whirlwind is worse than a strike in a single target fight feels bad. You know? X-Cost cards are also weaker in Slay the Spire 2. Why is that? Anything that kills the frogs, roaches, and scrolls, it's S tier to me. There. I think it's better than Breakthrough. Yeah, I can see that. Next up, we have Bludgeon. This card used to be rare in Slay the Spire 1, so I feel like just off the fact that it's now uncommon, I'm now way more in love with it because it doesn't take up a rare slot, and I don't have to just go, oh, yep, I see Bludgeon as my card from the boss fight. I can't wait to, at the end of Act 2, while my deck is like completely formed, get to choose between Bludgeon and 2 other things. I think it's very comparable to something like Cinder, other than the fact that it is just the uncommon version of it. I really, really like Bludgeon, but again, I'm only taking it, like, these cards right here, maybe we should put them at the bottom of A tier, because, like, I think that's where I think they are, but, like, in reality, I'm not really ordering things super well. I think all of these cards are just, like, these are cards that I don't mind taking early, and then, like, forming a deck around them. Like, I think Bludgeon is fine. I think you could consider it B tier. Maybe I haven't taken it enough to consider it A tier. Maybe I should put it in B.
but it's really fucking good, and it has really good synergies. Like every time I've taken it, like, you know, you can take a Stampede with it, you can take an Unrelenting with it, you can take all these different cool synergies with it, and I think it's really good. But Inflame, in Slay the Spire 1, this card was very, very strong, and it's the one card that has been brought to Slay the Spire 2 and has like kept its entire art and everything. Like, nothing has been changed about this card, which I think is really cool. I think it's like bottom of B tier. It's like not that good. Maybe it's like even top of C tier. I think in this game, it's like just not extraordinarily good. Yeah, there's just better ways to scale. I agree with that. I agree with that. All right, then what do you guys think of Sword Boomerang in this game? This card originally, in the early days of Slay the Spire 1, people had a really high opinion about. And then I think as the game matured and we got better at doing things, we wanted less randomization in our cards. And so Sword Boomerang really got pushed down. But I do feel like cards like Sword Boomerang have places in this game, and they can be in like the Roaches fight because you can only deal so much damage per hit, or in the Phantom fight in order to really pull off Slippery. There's just like a bit more where you can put it. So I think that it's like mid to bottom of B tier. I think honestly this is like one of the few. This is like a really cool card in the sense that this is a common card that I'm wanting to find later in the game, which is cool, right? Like I'm not wanting to take this early, like a lot of other common cards, like a Molten Fist or a Breakthrough or a Thunderclap or a Cinder, right? All of these like common damage cards. But a Sword Boomerang is like, oh, I have a lot of strength, but I don't have like an easy way to deploy that crazy amount of strength. I don't necessarily need a Sword Boomerang. Maybe I have a Fiend Fire or something else, or I just have like cards that, you know, if I have 25 strength, it doesn't matter whether I'm hitting with a Strike or a Sword Boomerang. But it's like cool to have a Sword Boomerang at the end of the day, you know? All right, are we ready to move on to Second Wind, chat? Honestly, this was one of the best block cards in Slay the Spire 1. But in Slay the Spire 2, I don't feel like it is nearly as good, especially because I feel like this character takes a lot more attacks. So I put this at like the bottom of B tier. It used to be a card that I could just like kind of rip and nooch, and now I feel like I just don't want to ever take. But it's good later in the game, obviously, versus like Aeon Glass and stuff like that. But like, yeah, Ironclad did lose a lot of the self-status stuff too. That's very true. Yeah. All right, next up, Setup Strike. This shit's butt. Probably below Real Strike. I'd rather have a Real Strike than Setup Strike. Fuck you, man. Don't fucking care. Go back to fucking Poopville, you poop card. Corruption still S tier. This shit's nasty, bro. This shit nasty, bro. Does it hurt Corruption that it's now a boss relic? Yeah, it hurts it because I can't take it as much. 1-2 punch. The next attack that you play hits an additional time. It's like pretty poo. I think that there's a lot of synergies that are pretty good with it. Simply from the fact that you can play it and then end your turn with Stampede. I think that's kind of fun. I think it works really well with like Unrelenting. Unfortunately, it doesn't work to use Unrelenting, which is kind of anti-synergistic, which sucks. Like you can't 1-2 punch an Unrelenting, but you can Unrelenting and then 1-2 punch a card. But yeah, it's the main reason why I think it's so low is just because like I see it against other rare cards, right? Like you have to stack it up against other rare cards, and there's just rare card. Sorry, not rare card. Rare card. Like there's just other cards that I want to see in the rare slot, right? There's just so many better cards above it, rare wise. Yeah. Next up, Flame Barrier. I think Flame Barrier is like an S tier block card. That shit's just good. That shit just good, man. That shit's just good. That shit is just good. It's so much better in Slay the Spire 2. It feels like it fits more to the character than in Slay the Spire 1. Felt like it was just kind of thrown in there. Now it feels like Ironclad's very hot. Vicious. Draw cards when vulnerable. Yep, that shit broken as well. That shit really fucking good as well. Yep, please add that to my deck. Yes, please. I like that. Cascade. Play the X+1 top cards in your deck. It's like a C tier card to me. Maybe like a bottom of B tier, maybe like bottom of B tier. Like you could get a lot of energy to be able to play stuff, but like I also feel like I haven't taken this card to be able to rate it super properly. Maybe I need to take it more, but yeah, it just doesn't feel like it does enough most of the time, but sometimes it can do a lot. Speedrunning mode. Taunt is it's an S tier block card as well. Maybe I'll put it at top of A, right next to Cherno Alpha, because they both look like they're mogging. I think this is just a really good card. I probably don't want a lot of them, but it synergizes with so much of what the Ironclad wants to do, but with block attached to it. It's really good. Next up is Drum of Battle. Drum of Battle definitely got reworked. It's now a skill that draws 2 cards, or instead, if you exhaust it, gives you energy, which is like really cool and has a lot of synergies. And I feel like it replaces Sentinel in Slay the Spire 1. I feel like it's kind of like the same vibe as a Sentinel. So I feel like the more that you want late game synergy, the better this is going to be. I think right now it's like a B tier card, but again, I think with the addition of Act 4, that's when Sentinel like really woke up and became amazing, you know? But like now, right now, with the way that we're getting, where we're just like ending in Act 3, I feel like the fights aren't going nearly as long. So I feel like it's not as good. Tremble got buffed. It's 3 and 4 it's 3 and 4 vulnerable, and it exhausts, which I think is way better because I don't want to redraw Tremble. So I actually think that getting more vulnerable and exhausting is actually 2 buffs. It's actually just straight up 2 buffs, and I think it's like top of A tier. I think this card is fucking busted. It's close to being an S tier card. That shit is nasty. The fact that it adds so much vulnerable that is completely synergistic with everything this character wants to do, and then it just goes away, it's so good. I think it would probably be like a C tier card if it was just to apply to vulnerable and redraw. With the exhaust, it's just so fucking good. All right, next up is Twin Strike. That's like a bottom of C tier type of card. It's just not dominate. I just want to dominate instead. And I'm just sad that it's not dominate. Like, just instead be better. Be slightly better, please. Be dominate. Like, do more damage. Havoc. It was shit in Slay the Spire 1. Why the fuck did we bring it back, man? Why the fuck did we bring this fucking card back, man? It doesn't do anything, man. Stomp. Stomp feels like a pretty A tier card. Am I crazy in saying that? I feel like every time I take Stomp, I love having Stomp in my deck. I love having Stomp in the deck. Break. Break got buffed, right? It's only 1 mana now. It's no longer 2 mana. First off, we put Bash. That's an F tier card. This card fucking sucks. It's 1 energy now, but then it's 7 vulnerable upgraded, right? Yeah, it costs 1 energy now. Yeah, that shit's nasty. It's insane. But like, obviously, it's like, how good is it for like wanting to take it all the time compared to a lot of the other, if you want to compare it to like the other characters' upgraded cards? I think it's like, because what are the other cards? You got Suppress. You've got Quadcast. You've got Falling Stars or Meteor Shower. And you've got Protector, whatever the fuck it is. I think it's like maybe second to last. Even though it's still insanely good. It's like second to last. Like, Suppress is insane, but the worst part about it is that it starts in your opening hand. Protector is insane unless you're not going for it, but then you just don't take it, which is like the one that I would say might be worse than Break because it's like sometimes not synergistic. Quadcast is fucking nuts. That shit's so insanely good. But I don't know. Next up, Bloodwall. I think Bloodwall is a solid B tier block card. I think it's a solid B tier block card. I think it obviously has synergies with, but it's like low B for me. Synergies with the self-damage stuff. I don't want a lot of them. It's okay to take early to be able to solve like some certain fights of where enemies do big damage on certain turns. But I don't see myself taking more than like 1 of them. 2 energy is a lot for it. I'd understand if you wanted to put it in C tier. But it's really good for wanting like an early block card to be able to solve block if I don't see the S tier version of it, which is Flame Barrier, in my opinion. Flame Barrier just be way better in my humble opinion. Anger in Slay the Spire 1, I feel like was like an S tier card. I think in Slay the Spire 2, it's like a high B tier. I don't think it's incredible on this game. I think that it works out really well with like replay synergies. I think it's like really fun to do stuff with that. I think it. Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase. It is a fucking busted card with enchants. With enchants, it is like the best fucking card in the game. Without enchants, it's just like a fine card. But like with enchants, it's like a really fun synergy that just works out really well. Ashen Strike is so good. It got put in here twice. Stoke. Stoke used to be like super fucking busted. And now it, instead of exhausting your hand and drawing cards, it exhausts your hand and it replaces your hand with unupgraded or upgraded random cards from your character. At first I was like kind of shit, like it's shit tier. And now it like has a lot of cool synergies. The fact that it works with like, if you like roll into like Forgotten Ritual, it like automatically works. It works with Drum of Battle. So it's like kind of like a cool and fun synergy. It like has some stuff. And I think like sometimes it can work, but like most of the time it feels like a high C tier card. Again, because it's other rare cards, but like it's fun. And I think for fun, it's an S tier fun card. But for like actual real world use cases, it's like you're relying on a lot. It scales your Ashen Strike very quickly. But like I have to then be okay with the RNG nature of it, which just feels weird. Headbutt's an S tier card. It was S tier in Slay the Spire 1. It's still an S tier card. This card's fucking awesome. It's amazing. It's so sick. It's so awesome. Infernal Blade is like still like a C tier card, but it's like a high C tier. I think it's better in Slay the Spire 2 than Slay the Spire 1. But I'm still not in love with the idea of it. But I think there's a lot more big bonks on this character than there were in Slay the Spire 1. So the average roll of it is better. But it does feel like, again, it needs an upgrade. All right, chat. This is my Slay the Spire 2 Ironclad tier list. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Where did I put things that were wrong? Where did I put things that were good? This is for YouTube to answer, not you, chats. This is for the YouTube comments to answer. Fucking shut up, man. I'm not asking you. I'm not fucking asking you.
He's an arsonist on a noble quest to escape the wrath of the IRS. He's got conflicting positions in the endless fight for queer folks, animal and tenants' rights. He uses his Tesla to flatten old ladies, and he's marrying someone so out of his league that it's crazy.